Welcome to Campaign Series Vietnam. This is turn 1 of Battle of the Plains. This is a PvP match between myself and my opponent, Jason. He is one of the developers on Campaign Series Vietnam. But either way, let's dive into this. This is just my opening moves. I didn't really study the battlefield too much, which is going to play to my detriment later on. As I move my tanks forward, I kind of blitz forward across all the terrain, not really realizing that it's a lot of open plains, hence the name Battle of the Plains. So there's lots of tall grass, lots of openness, and there's a few villages that you need to attack or capture. The interesting thing about the villages is I have a bunch of artillery on standby, but unfortunately I can't drop that artillery on the villages. Otherwise I lose victory points. So overall, I really need to fight my way into a situation that isn't really in my favor. So during these opening moves, I kind of blitz forward and I accidentally just charge straight into awaiting Chinese tanks, and we suffer significant casualties right off the bat. But my goal was to be really fast, just as fast as possible, blitz to the objective and try and take my opponent off foot. And unfortunately, that causes me to lose a lot of combat power with that mistake. And so something I probably learn, at least think about more in the future, is that opening blitz, the smartest way to execute the opening blitz versus just diving straight in, running straight down the road, and just arriving to tank guns being blasting you. So I was a little bummed about that opening move, but I stuck with my plan, and I kind of deviate later on in a few of my other turns, but I try and keep everyone on the same schedule. I just blitz all my tanks forward. I have my M113s behind them, and they kind of get into some tight urban combat in a few of the later turns, which we'll get to in a bit. But dismounting the infantry troops and trying to flank around and drive the Chinese forces off of the objective was quite fun. And it was a really unique experience, and I'm glad I'm playing through this PBM. And as you see, the battlefield is fairly challenging. There's lots of choke points, lots of open fields, and it's definitely something you need to navigate and move around and really think forward of your next position. So since we're the assaulting force, we're basically advancing into what seems like mostly Chinese ambushes, which is really punishing, especially when you conduct a blitz. But as you see, we blitz forward, we drop off our M113s, and I struggle a little bit with getting the units dismounted, as you see. Once I get them all dismounted, I just start doing my ground attack. So the M113 units don't dismount for another few turns, but I do get them into position and kind of and I start prepping the battlefield for my oncoming assault, which is just identifying locations and trying to think about where I want to drop artillery, what are some good locations to drop that artillery, and where do we think the enemy is going to be in the later turns. Overall, it was an interesting opening move. I don't think I would have conducted it the same way, but we'll see how it turns out. I mean, I have turn 6 uploaded as well, so if you want to see how it looks later on, check that turn out. It's all in members only.